Welcome back to another Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're diving into something that's literally foundational to our everyday lives, but honestly, we barely ever think about it. Today, we're using a documentary lens to uncover the unseen, frankly relentless labor behind the food on our plates. And we're going to do this by following the day-to-day life of a 24-year-old farmer named Ahmed. His story is, well, it's way more than just agriculture. It's a really profound look at one guy's intensely personal fight to save his family farm and keep their generational legacy alive. Let's just jump right in.
Okay, I want to start right off the bat with this incredibly powerful quote from Ahmed himself. Look at that first line. People see food on their tables, but they rarely see the hands that grow it. Right? That hits hard. That right there sets the entire stakes for this explainer. His final words here, as long as I can work this land, I will never give up, they perfectly capture his fierce dedication. He absolutely refuses to walk away as long as he can physically work the dirt. It anchors everything we're about to explore in his unwavering commitment.
Section 1. A day before sunrise. All right, let's walk through this timeline. Imagine those super quiet, hushed hours of the morning, way before the rest of the village is even awake. In that pitch-black, pre-dawn darkness, Ahmed's day kicks off. It starts simply, just quietly having tea with his mom and checking the weather, hoping the skies cooperate. By the time dawn actually breaks, he's already out in the fields doing the heavy lifting of morning field work and watering. Then, midday brings us to lunch. We're actually going to spend a lot of time on this later because it's a massive emotional anchor point for him and his parents. And finally, evening rolls around for a quick moment of sunset reflection. It's just this relentless, exhausting cycle that repeats every single day.
Section 2. The Cinematic Blueprint.
So, to really grasp the weight of Ahmed's routine, it's fascinating to see how perfectly his real, unscripted life mirrors the kinds of prompts short documentary filmmakers use to capture the human experience. Look at these connections. The prompt, "A Day Before Sunrise," which is all about documenting folks who work while the city sleeps, that is literally Ahmed's morning routine. Then you have water, every drop counts. That directly matches his constant struggle with limited water supplies just to keep his crops from dying. And the last craftsman? Following someone trying to save disappearing traditional skills? Boom! That's Ahmed, fighting to preserve his family's farming methods against massive modern odds. His life is basically a living, breathing documentary of these huge, universal themes.
Section 3. Threats to the Harvest. Now, keeping that legacy alive isn't just about waking up early and working hard. He is battling some intense, mounting external pressures. First off, you've got surging financial costs just to keep the farm running. Then there's the unpredictable weather, climate patterns are changing, making planning almost impossible. And third, those severely limited water supplies for irrigation that we literally just talked about. These aren't just abstract ideas for Ahmed. These are very real, daily roadblocks that make working the land his family has owned for generations harder and harder every single year.
And here is what's absolutely fascinating, how Ahmed reacts to all this. He's totally defined the trend. A lot of his friends look at these exact same challenges and think, nope, I'm out, and they abandon the village for the city. But despite the financial strain, Ahmed refuses to pack up. He stays. He spends his days fixing broken tools, chatting with the neighboring farmers, and just grinding it out in those fields.
Section 4. Conversations on Shared Legacy. Now, this part right here, this is the emotional core of his whole day. All the stress, all the dedication, it all kind of bubbles up midday during this intimate lunchtime conversation when Ahmed goes home to his parents. And wow, the contrast is stark. On one side, you have his parents. Sure, they have this deep, profound pride in their son, but it is heavily mixed with intense anxiety. They're realists, They're constantly worrying about the future, the erratic weather, the rising costs we just looked at. But then on the other side, you have Ahmed. His perspective is just rooted in stubborn, relentless hope. While his parents are stressing, he genuinely believes that if he mixes modern farming techniques with his own sheer willpower, he can save their legacy. It's this incredible emotional tug-of-war of hope versus fear happening right over the dinner table. Let's actually define what's at stake during that lunch. They are talking about their shared legacy. This isn't just a plot of dirt. We're talking about the generational transfer of farmland, of hard-earned agricultural skills, and basically their entire family identity. Ahmed isn't just trying to keep a job or, make a quick buck. He's fighting tooth and nail against a tough economy and climate changes to keep a vital tradition alive for the next generation. That's exactly what his parents are so incredibly proud of and exactly what they're terrified of losing.
Section 5. The Future of the Farm. So, after all the tension of that midday talk,
The day starts winding down, and the vibe shifts entirely. Picture this. The harsh midday sun softens, and this beautiful golden sunlight just blankets the fields. Ahmed is sitting there quietly, watching the wind ripple through the crops he's been sweating over all day. And despite all those fears his parents brought up at lunch, despite the very real threats of drought and debt, he sits there totally steadfast. He thinks back to learning the ropes from his dad, and he looks out at the fields, dreaming not just of barely surviving, but actually expanding the family farm.
Which brings us to a final, pretty vital question for you to chew on today. When you sit down to your next meal, will you consider the unseen hands and the struggling, shared legacies that brought that food to your table? Ahmed's daily grind is such a powerful reminder that our basic sustenance is built on the profound, local struggles of real people fighting to keep their heritage alive. Think about that pre-dawn tea, those anxious family lunches, and that unwavering hope out in the fields. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it changes the way you look at the food on your plate.